Hello, my name is Felicia Nurindrawati, and today I'll be presenting on satellite-derived bathymetry in remote communities. I would like to acknowledge that this work will not be completed without the help of the student interns from Marine Institute of the Memorial University in Newfoundland, and this is a collaboration effort with CBET 2030. The main purpose is to map the bathymetric gaps around the world, and this includes the Canadian Arctic. We would also like to acknowledge Kirk Regular and his team from Marine Institute for their effort in collecting the data that we will be presenting today. Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge that the data that we are presenting is in the traditional waters of the Inuits of Sunny Killuak and Kingite, also known as Cape Dorset. As we share these data, we recognize that these marine environments have been stewarded by the Inuits since time immemorial. We are grateful to the communities of Kingite and Sunny Killuak for the opportunity to work on data within their homelands, and we also remain committed to the research that respect their connection to the Arctic waters. Before we get started, let's take a chance to learn more about the communities of Kingite. Kingite means where the hills are or high mountains, and is situated in Baffin Island, Nunavut. It is known as the capital of Inuit art and has the oldest history of Inuit printmaking in Canada. Furthermore, Kingite is also the largest producer of Inuit carvings in the world. The famous ones are the sculptures depicting a dancing bear, identifiable by having the ability to balance itself with one foot, and it's made out of serpentine, which is unique to the regional geology of Kingite. The next community is in Sunny Killuak. It is named after a local folk hero named Sandy Killuak and is situated in Belcher Islands, a unique geological feature in Hudson Bay. Sunny Killuak is known for its unique argillite carvings. You can see that in the sculpture. It has a unique smoothness and finish to them. The argillite carvings can only be found in Belcher Islands, which is a feature of its unique geology. However, like Kingite, Sunny Killuak is very far from other communities, making it harder to get art from this region. And there are no roads to connect the northern remote communities of Nunavut with the rest of southern Canada, making it the only means of transporting goods and that work in this area is either by plane or by sea. And in the case of bigger items, such as bigger sculptures, for example, the only options for transporting those goods are through sea lifts. And that's why sea navigation is important for these communities. Sea lifts not only provide the means of transporting artwork, but more importantly, even daily essentials such as groceries and other supplies. And there's really only a small window between July and October where these sea lifts can actually go through, as most of the winter time, these areas are all just ice. To complicate it even more, navigating Arctic waters is challenging with the presence of icebergs and dynamically changing environments due to coastal erosions. So if we rely just on old charts, it might be outdated or insufficient. We need a way to consistently and frequently update the data in our charts to ensure safe navigation, and this can help the locals in marine safety navigation and survey planning. And there are actually existing initiatives from the local community and the Canadian government to fulfill the need for hydrographic data in these remote regions. As we see here in this article by Radio Canada International, link in the QR code here, CHS, Canadian Hydrographic Service, has provided training for locals to collect their own bathymetry data using their local vessels. I want to emphasize what Mark LeBlanc of CHS says. Empowering the communities to do their own science is important. And that's exactly the focus on SIKU app. So SIKU, which is the inactivated word for sea ice, is a free mobile app and web platform designed by and for indigenous communities focusing on Arctic regions. And here is an example of what the bathymetry data looks like in Kinga and Sunny Kilauea in the SIKU app. So bathymetry data in SIKU is constantly being updated. When we were looking at the data back in March, there seemed to be some data sparsity within the SIKU app. You can see that Sunny Kilauea, for example, on the left here, seems to have better coverage than Kingite, where the bathymetry data doesn't seem to be as well covered. So how do we fill these gaps? And this is how SDB could help in this case. So as everyone probably is already aware, satellite-derived bathymetry, or SDB, provides a way to remotely measure shallow bathymetric depths through the beams of satellite-based sensors. So to create your SDB, that is, with the empirical algorithm flavor, you basically need at least two ingredients, the satellite imagery and in situ depths. So in order for the SDB to be good quality, the ingredients need to be good quality as well. So before you put it in the SDB algorithm, you got to do some image selection and image pre-processing. And then once you use your tools to cook this SDB, in this case using machine learning, you get your preliminary SDB. And then before actually making it into final SDB, there needs to be some post-processing that needs to be done using some data cleaning, uncertainty quantification, and outlier mitigation. So here's our survey area of Kingite. I do like to emphasize on the area that we will be covering using SDB. Both Kingite and Sunny Kilowatt is only a small portion of the whole SDB area that we produce. This is to showcase the capability of SDB to survey a whole entire region in a fast turnaround time. So we don't just get the target area, but also adjacent area that could potentially be useful for sea navigation planning. And likewise, this is the survey area for Sunny Kilowatt. So going back to our cookbook, first gathered ingredients, which is our ground truth or in situ data points. So this is data that Kirk and his team collected with permission from the locals around the Kingite area, and is collected using Hydroball single beam echo sounder. And here's the ISAT data, which, as we know from previous presentations, a space-based LiDAR over our survey area. There's about 106,000 ISAT-2 depth measurements here, and only the area in green here actually has overlap with Kirk's single beam survey. And just for your reference, the two ground truth data do fit very well when they do overlap. So this is the in situ ingredients of Kingite. We also added more points from Nona. So our in situ points in Kingite are all from different sensors in this visual over here. And here are the ones in Sunny Kilowatt. With this area, however, we did not have any single beam survey. Instead, we had asked permission from SIKU for their crowdsourced depth measurements in the area, and they kindly provided us the information as we combine that with our ISAT2 collection in this area as well. Okay, on to our second ingredient, satellite imagery. We use Sentinel-2 data in this case with 10-meter resolution. For areas like the Canadian Arctic, it's really hard to get a clear image due to snow cover and small summer window. For 3 Sentinel-2 tiles in this case, we chose clear single images between the years of 2024 to 2025 in the peak summer time of August. Now that we have all our ingredients, which is the in situ depth and the satellite imagery, we can put them all together into one cooking pot to create our SDB. So here is the SDB produced in the area just north of Kingite. You can see how the SDB has more coverage in the shallow water areas compared to the one that is from non-Canadian hydrographic surface. Here's the full SDB produced in Kingite and adjacent areas. We produced 910 square kilometers of data here with a deepest depth around 27.8 meters. And this one here is from Sunny Kilowatt. We also created SDB with different combinations of in situ data fusions. We can see that as we add more variety of in situ data, starting with just ISAT, then ISAT and single beam, and etc. The SDB accuracy are a lot better against validation depth points. The general pattern between these surfaces remain consistent, but considering that one is completely remote method, that is the ISAT2 SDB, and the error for that surface is only 1.33 meters, it's actually not too bad. And the same observation can also be made in Sunny Kilowatt. So what does that mean? That means SDB can be used not just to cover gaps, but as a reconnaissance tool. SDB can be used to get some idea of what the depths of the water look like before committing to gathering data using survey vessels. Using ISAT-2 as in situ, you can get a fully satellite-based measurement of bathymetry as a means to identify target areas. And locals of remote communities can work with hydrographers to identify these target areas. Then the target areas can be reached with a local survey vessel to get some better measurements, and therefore producing more accurate representation of depth that can be updated to charts. We have converted the SDB that we produce in Kingite and Sunny Kilowatt into contours, soundings, and depth areas to submit to the SIKU app. You can see how there are gaps that can be filled in a data portal with our SDB data in blue. I do like to emphasize on the updatability of the SIKU app. So in March, KingEye didn't have much coverage in the data portal, but now you can see much better coverage in the area. And that's without the SDB that we provided to them. Same goes with Sunny Kiluwak. You can see how the SDB can be used to fill the gaps in the SIKU app. We are still in communication with SIKU to get this data published through the portal, and we expect it to be viewable in the app after spring 2026. Lastly, I would like to bring back what CHS had mentioned in the article in the introduction. Making sure that the communities are doing their own science is really important. And TCarta agrees with the sentiment. We had delivered SDB community training in other countries, as we believe that to be essential in giving the locals the tools for their marine decision making. This project is in part not just to provide SDB data in remote communities, but also to open up the possibility in the future for remote communities to learn about hydrographic technology such as SDB. Whether it's in the Canadian Arctic or other remote regions of the world, giving the necessary tools to locals would truly create more impact to the communities. And with that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you for listening.